This is scene 4. This is a transitionary period from after the funeral, which in fact happened in the summer of 14, along with the riots and the other things I saw. And this is an uncomfortable time, and in real life it is. I was raised that the police are wonderful, and if you ever have a problem, you run to the police because they'll help. In this, they transition that they're no longer your friend. They're someone to be afraid of. So Change, this is the name of this set, Change. We see that there are fires and bad things and scary things, and that there are police that are everywhere. And I guess what I didn't see, but now looking back I know, is that it was the drones and the spying that they, in SA, all this happened after 2001 with 9/11, and I had the vision before that, so I didn't understand what I was seeing. But I know people were afraid. Very, very few people feel comfortable all the time the way we used to back in 1950. So what you will see here, there's a sign that talks about martial law. Policemen that they look like military. I know what to expect a military man looks like. And this is not, I was raised on that show, Mayberry RFD, and there's a wonderful Barney Fife who was funny and the very wise sheriff. And they had one bullet, or Barney was allowed one bullet. And that's not what it is anymore. It's not lovely people who are your neighbors in a small town that you can go to and ask for help. It's scary. So what I did to show this part of the transition, and this might last a year, 2 or 3, I don't know how long. I know it's very important that was the last time. That was August 5th. Oh, and you know what? It just hit my head. On August 5th, the general died. And then on August, I don't know the dates, perhaps the 9th, Michael Brown died. And then another week or so later, they had his funeral. And then after that, the general is home and they have his funeral. So it started on August 5th, 2014. And it ended on August 25th, 2014. That whole period that Father had shown me clearly and said was the beginning. And it was later that, because I've been learning the Hebrew roots of the Bible and that the Old Testament's important and lots of stories. Well, I wasn't raised that way to know that. But I've been learning, and as I learned that, there's such a time, they have holy days, not just holidays. And one of their special times is called the 9th of Av, or Ab. The 9th of Av. The 9th of Av, I started studying it, and I have a list of 300 horrible things that have happened over the last 2,000 or 3,000 years, always on the 9th of Av. It was a meaningful time. So the general died on 9th of Av. And it runs for 3 weeks. And it's the time, it's called the intimate estrangement, because Father kind of steps back a little bit and lets you have your way. So you will miss him and call him and say, please come back, I miss you, I need you. And so for that 3-week period, it's the Jews know, the Hebrews, Jews is 1/12 of that family, they know that they can't expect protection during that time. And it's interesting, I had thought of later, is that the general died on the first day of the holy day called 9th of Av, and he was buried on the last day of 9th of Av. And I don't think that probably is a coincidence, because Father had his hand on that. Okay, so that was meaningful also. What I want to show you is the back part of scene 4 is I put the photos here to make a wall of the things we're being faced to need to look at being faced with. This is a sweet little house. It would just be like any normal house. Maybe you lived in an apartment or maybe you lived on a farm. But this represented, you know, we had trees and sidewalks and grass. And over here on the other side, I saw with my spiritual eyes that during this time, which is now, it started last end of August, so it's been over a year, and we have probably another year left of it, this period. This is Jesus Yeshua standing up here crying because he knows it has to happen, and he loves his people. And it's so easy to say, well, if God's real, if he knows me, he doesn't like me, or, you know, he's mad at me. That's not true. That's just what our enemy wants us to think. The fact is, I saw this where Jesus was standing there watching his people be harmed. And he cried, and he cried so much. I have him crying into a whole pool of tears that runs into the river. So he's very sad about what has to happen, but it's part of it. Okay, so you see some of the things I put on here. This is, of course, before they ever happened, but I have the spying is everywhere. I have the Supreme Court of the USA making bad decisions for 60 years. They have legalized everything that the Bible says don't. And you see the spying and lots of other things that represent, sure enough, even though I made this years ago, it's sure enough what represents our period of time now. It's a very sad time, and it's not going to get better. I so wanted to believe that this was just a phase. And I used to pray. People who know me know that I used to pray daily for the United States and for the people, the citizens, because we used to be such a wonderful country. And one day, Father said to me, I want you to stop praying for the United States. I said, did I hear you? What did you just say? He said, stop praying that. You are praying against my will. So his will is that it's time for judgment to come, or when the right time is. I think it will come in waves from now forward, but the good days, Barney Fife is gone, and the good days of wholesome life for our children. I'm so sorry I'm telling you this. Maybe you're getting the hint anyway, but Father told me this back then to tell you that don't pray for the USA to come back. It's in his will that it does not come back. It's all in his will. Okay, now I'll move on to scene 5, which is the stadium.